How is everyone doing today? And in this video, we are going to be talking about some of the updates that we ended up getting in regards to not only the developer notes that we got very soon for Rappa's patch. We're also going to get changes to Pure Fiction, which is very exciting in regards to some of the stuff that I previewed a little bit when looking into it. That Pure Fiction is actually going to be a lot better now with some of the changes that I saw. I didn't get to read all of them in its entirety, and also some exciting stuff that comes from the developer notes as well, because I did get to see a little bit of this as well, and I do want to talk about a little bit of this as we are going into our next version. Now, one thing that I want to say is that this right here is one of the best possible, and I mean best possible, things they could have done in the game when it comes to bringing out the old event light cones that before were not able to be gotten. You have the Silver Wolf light cone, the tutorial mission starts, really good supportive light cone for Nihility characters like Silver Wolf, like Pella, like Welt. There's a lot of really good characters that could use this before and haven't had the chance to do so, especially for those that didn't play the game at its release because you weren't able to grab tutorial missions. So this is really good for players that haven't had the chance to be able to start at the very beginning of the game where this event was happening and you could get the tutorial mission light cone. But it's actually really good to have for everybody that's coming to the game of recent, and also those that just never got the chance to do the event. Another thing is that realistically, I don't think there's a lot importance of the abundance light cone. The abundance light cone is a little bit nice, especially if you don't already have a okay one, a 4-star one at that, because a lot of the 4-star abundance cones are really nice. It gives outgoing healing, if I'm not wrong, when you use your skill, which is really nice, can be used on a lot of different sustains. And then the harmony light cone that goes well with Robin. So if you have Robin and you don't have her signature, this is a pretty good substitute if you don't already have some of the other characters or some of the other light cones in the game. But right now, realistically, tutorial mission and Robin's light cone are really good additions to be adding into the Herda shop. So if you've been doing your simulated universe every week, you should be able to afford these as soon as it goes live, and that's going to be really cool to see. Another thing which seems to be very interesting is that we are finally getting our own room in the Astral Express, and I'm assuming we might be able to do some type of teapot thing in Genshin where we're able to just work around our room, make it look really nice. And I think realistically, if that's the case, I'm definitely going to be looking at what I can do to make it really nice, because I think that's a really cool thing that we're finally getting it. I don't see myself realistically going in there a lot unless it's like the teapot in Genshin where you're able to get certain unique resources by visiting it every so often, being able to maintain it, being able to grab materials from it if you do something with it. I have no idea how they would do it, but if there's a reason to come back into the room to do something every so often, or come in every week and then you can grab a material, leave, maybe get some extra energy, that'd be pretty cool in my honest opinion. We'll have to wait and see what they're going to do with this. And in version 2.7, I think this is going to be after Rappa's patch, so it will be Tingyun/Sunday's patch. We are going to be getting something which is the party car, and this is going to be able to allow visiting in-game friends. Oh wait, what? Not only can the express visiting in-game friends appear in the party car, but it's also rumored that Pom Pom can change outfits here. Wait, what? Not only can the express visiting in-game, express visiting in-game friends. So basically, now instead of all of the characters who were able to meet you in the Astral Express being littered around the first cart, they're just gonna have their own cart to just chill in there, to just stay in there, which I think is a pretty cool thing in all honesty. And I think that's a really nice way to have the immersion there and be able to talk to certain characters that you probably weren't able to talk to before. Maybe you're able to summon them to be able to get their unique dialogue in specific, so you don't have to wait around for them to come around to the RNG aspect of the party car, which I think is a pretty cool thing that they're adding. And again, the Trailblazer room, we're actually going to be allowing us to basically decorate it the way we want. We have collecting small toys from certain events, so this is actually really good. We're actually able to grab some keepsakes that we get from some of the events that happen in certain patches to be able to just place it down. This looks really nice. As you can see, this is a LOFU centered little toy, and then we also have, I'm assuming this is going to be Bellabog, but there's a lot of really cool stuff to see here. And then the last thing is that for mobile devices, you're able to delete past resources that we don't use anymore, like story assets or story cutscenes or anything like that we've already done. So it's a really good thing for those who are on mobile that are allowed to basically reduce the package size, which is going to allow you to keep the game longer on your phone for those that are struggling with the actual process of installing the game. Now it will have a little bit more space at the beginning, but if you're able to download it and now you're like maxed out on space, you can go back and then start deleting all the missions beforehand, which will save up a lot of space on your phone, which is really nice. Now the main thing I want to talk about is the pure fiction changes, because I think some of this stuff here is going to be absolutely amazing. Now we've had pure fiction ever since 1.6, and I forgot about that we actually got it during this update. So this is a really cool thing to see, and we're actually going to be getting a brand new update to pure fiction after 2.7. So now we're going to see us get brand new mechanics. We now have something which is called the stage effects will turn into different grit mechanics and activate grit mechanics in battle to accumulate grit value, which will give us buffs for, I'm assuming, the stages that we're going to see. This is going to make it a little bit easier to complete pure fiction, if I'm not wrong, because it's going to allow us to have a crap ton of buffs, being able to delete enemies and make it a little bit easier for those that were struggling with pure fiction. Now, one thing that's going to be really cool is apparently the enemies will no longer be in a state of having to always have that one enemy left over the wave, because now it says additionally the express crew has adjusted certain enemy mechanics in pure fiction. When engaging in combat after the update, the non-boss enemies will also continuously refresh. Aside from dealing direct attacks, you can decrease the HP of a boss enemy by a certain percentage through defeating the non-boss enemies. Defeating non-boss enemies efficiently will quickly reduce the boss's HP. After defeating the boss enemy, the next wave will begin. So it seems that now, instead of it being always allowing you to hit every enemy and there will be just no bosses, it will just be straight enemies, and then you'll eventually get to that point where there's like 1 or 2 left, and then you will have the next wave happen. It seems that now every single wave will have its own boss, but there are 2 different ways to deal with it. Either you take away the enemies, or you do splash damage basically, and you're taking out all these side enemies. You're also hitting the boss itself, which is allowing you to not only reduce the boss's HP by quite a bit, because you are taking out the small guys, with also hurting the boss. This is going to allow you to basically take them out very quickly. It mitigates the issue of worrying if you are going to be wasting action value, or you're going to be wasting a turn by basically hitting one guy left over of the wave. So this seems very interesting. Now, one thing I do want to say is that this is also something I want to talk about, which is either an endless amount of enemies spawning once you get the boss to like 1% health, as you see right here, where they have this shield where you have to wait until you beat out the enemy, or where there's no enemies and it's just a boss. Apparently all of this is going to be tied together so that when you beat all the enemies, the boss should be already dead, or if you're singling out the boss, all the enemies die regardless. So it seems like realistically they're making it a little bit more viable for characters that aren't Argenti, that aren't Jade, that aren't Himiko, that aren't Herta, that are able to hit the whole wave. Single target characters may possibly be able to work in pure fiction if you have enough damage to single out the boss. Now this is very interesting realistically, because if this is the case, a lot of characters just got buffed in their investment value or potential viability, because now they're able to complete pure fiction as well because of these new changes, where you're able to hit the boss directly. If you've already basically are only targeting them, you're going to be able to clear it, because now all the enemies die regardless. Or if you hit all the enemies, now the boss is going to die. There's not going to be any situation where only one is left over. Either the boss is at 1 HP, but you still have a plethora of mobs to fight, or you have no mobs to fight and it's just the boss. They are basically making it so that they're intertwined together and they're going to finish around the same time. And realistically, seeing that single target characters may start working inside pure fiction, that's going to be pretty interesting to see, and pretty, in all honesty, exciting for a lot of characters in this game. I really want to see which characters are going to be able to pull through in this new version of pure fiction, with being able to possibly, someone like Sela, being able to go through maybe some of these small enemies, and when you feel you have time to nuke, or when you have all your buffs, you use your ult on the boss, you clear pure fiction. There's a lot of stuff that could definitely happen, especially with us getting this grit mechanic, which is going to allow us to get bigger buffs, to allow some of our characters to get a little bit stronger, and this will boost some of the characters that didn't have enough power in them to be able to clear it beforehand, to possibly clear it now. And especially with the new change with dealing with these enemies and also directly hitting the boss, may allow them to actually perform very well in Pure Fiction. So this is all very exciting stuff. I know it was a little bit short in regards to some of the stuff they gave us. Really, all there was to takeaway is that we're getting the event icons back, really good. We're getting our own room, really good. We're getting the party car added to the Astral Express, and then of course the streamlined update to Pure Fiction. So overall, really good updates from Honkai Star Rail. I cannot wait to see these go in action. But other than that, thank you guys so much for watching all the way to the end of the video. See y'all guys in the next one, and peace.